Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason Before the Apocalypse Starts. Okay, yeah, tomorrow, tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day. That's what I'm celebrating. But I would be remiss if I didn't remind all of you, because just in case you've forgotten, that the egregious, execrable miscreant Donald Trump, also traitor, insurrectionist, grifter, criminal, traitor, fraud, traitor, is being sworn in because a plurality of American voters, and notice I say voters and I don't say Americans. It's because like 90 million Americans didn't vote at all. So a plurality of American voters voted for a guy who just made $25 billion overnight with some cryptocurrency. I don't know, like magic, alchemy. Not really sure what that is, but can I do that? Anyway, no would be the answer. So I'm guessing there's a lot perhaps on your minds, and I really wanted to talk to you. And also just reassure you that we're not going anywhere. And we are still in the process of sort of coming up with the best strategy for staying engaged in all this without driving ourselves crazy, right? That's really important. And I think we've learned a lot over the last 8 years about how to do that. And one thing, I actually just wrote about this on Substack, my Substack. I think it's actually a good thing that they're doing all of this out in the open now, right? I mean, I think there will be very real and negative consequences for a lot of people, but it means that we know what's happening, and we can come up with ways to combat it, with ways to keep people informed about it, et cetera, et cetera. And it's also just a reminder. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but CBS News has essentially joined the right-wing media ecosystem, by settling a lawsuit. Donald sued them for something like $10 billion, alleging election interference. And CBS, it's an absolutely insane, absurd, baseless case. And they're settling. I don't know exactly what the terms are, but because CBS wants to merge, is working on a merger, and if they feel that if they don't settle with Donald and they don't kiss his ass, they won't be allowed to go through with their merger. So, okay, then corporate media has been sold, is for sale, or not. So it's good to be aware of all of this. And again, nobody's hiding any of it at all. So, all right, I'm going to dive into your questions. Oh, by the way, I'm not home. Just in case you thought I did some redecorating. No, I'm in Arizona, which is a state, politics notwithstanding. I love it out here. I love the desert. My favorite kind of landscape. I love the sea more than anything, but the desert is definitely a close second. It's amazing out here. It's beautiful. It's about, it's 60 degrees and sunny during the day. It gets a little chilly at night, which is nice. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So I think at some point I'm going to go up north. It just, apparently there's snow up there, which is something New York hasn't had. So go figure. So yeah, it's good to get away, but it's not a vacation, so I will still be around because this week in particular is it's really important that we watch what's happening because it's going to be happening quickly. So we're going to be on top of the first 100 days in a very serious way. So hang with us. All right, now let's get to your questions. Now that I've answered the question of what the hell is in my background. See, I answered the question already. Look at me go. All right, from Alex, question. When was the last time you spoke with the felon? Well, do you mean one-on-one or through our attorneys? Has he contacted you or commented about you since you've been working against him and expressing your personal knowledge of him? Well, let's see. The last time I saw him and spoke to him, saw him obviously in person was in 2017 when I went to the White House for my aunt's birthday party. What a mistake. And then the next time I heard, not from him exactly, but the last time he spoke of me was after my first book, not right before it was published, but after people found out it was going to be published, and he and my other uncle and aunt sued me because again, our love language. Yeah, they sued to prevent the release of the book, and then they sued me. I don't remember why exactly, but I prevailed and the book was published. And after the book came out, he basically said that I had been unloved by my family my whole life. And I don't know if he said I was like crazy or a loser or something, but that was fun. But I also thought it just said, for those of you who were perhaps worried, I don't care. Like there's literally nothing Donald can say about me or to me that bothers me. But it just said so much about who he is, like that he went there. Yeah, so that was it for a while. And then I'm not going to go through all the litany of lawsuits, but currently, yes, he's suing me for $100 million for breach of contract. I think that's what it is. Anyway, so yes, our only communications currently are through our attorneys, but it's been going on for 3 years already. So who knows? Who knows? It definitely feels like for those Dickens fans among you, Jarndyce v. Jarndyce from Bleak House. I think that's where that's our goal, to keep this going for as long as humanly possible. So it's funny, like people have said, well, he's back in the White House, he'll be really busy. He won't like busy. This is what he'll be busy with. Frivolous lawsuits against people to ruin their lives. Like that's the whole purpose of this administration, other than scamming billions of dollars off of people just because. Anyway, that was a very long answer, but thank you for your question. From Gay, question, Mary, as your uncle doesn't believe in the truth or the Constitution, can he cancel the midterms on the pretext that no one needs it now that he is in power? No. However, that having been said, a lot of what happens in the next 2 years is going to depend entirely on Republicans in Congress, which is an alarming thought, the judiciary, and blue state Democrats. So, I have a lot of faith in blue state Democrats. It remains to be seen how much they can do. It also remains to be seen, because how do you go about canceling the midterms, right? You might have to declare martial law. And it also depends on how many people in the military are willing to follow illegal orders, because that is something you're not supposed to do. I was just following orders is not a legitimate excuse for your own illegal, cruel behavior or your willingness to commit crimes against humanity. So I'm not, I don't know why, I'm not as worried about that as I was before the election, which seems maybe odd. But I think it's possible that he's going to be so caught up in just how much money he's making and just how much power he's wielding in this very, narrow way in terms of social media. Like we'll talk about TikTok, I'm sure. So, and also a lot can happen in 2 years. We'll see. From Chestnut 127, question. How can people worried about the price of a dozen eggs afford thousands to go to the inauguration, which now is wasted? LOL. Yeah, I was talking to some friends of mine, and I'm not proud of this necessarily, but the Schadenfreude. I have an evergreen tweet. I use this on occasion. I think the first time I used it, like there were like, I don't know, 7 people outside of Mar-a-Lago waving enormous Trump flags, and this was a few years ago. And you're just sitting out there all day, like waiting for Donald's motorcade or something. And my tweet was, imagine your life being so bereft of meaning that you think this is a valuable use of your time. Oh, that's what I would say to you idiots who spent thousands of dollars. You know what? I guess if they saved up a lot of money by choosing not to buy eggs, maybe that's how they managed it. But yeah, way to go. And I just wonder, like, who will they direct their anger at? Are they angry at Donald? I don't know, but it's his fault because I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a list of inaugurations that happened during much colder weather. Like Obama, it was like -9 degrees wind chill. And, I think it's not, there are 2 things I think going on. One, it's not just that it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy. Uh-oh. And 2, I think it was going to be pretty small. And Donald doesn't have Sean Spicer to kick around anymore. So I just think that whether it was because they realized there were a lot of empty hotel rooms and dinner reservations available or whatever, but somebody figured out that this was not going to be a well-attended not graduation, inauguration. So yeah, hey, you voted for him? Oh well. Oh, and also the eggs are going to still be really expensive. From Roxanne, do you think Tulsi Gabbard has a conflict of interest regarding her investments? Do you think she'll have to get rid of them? Okay, first of all, I have no doubt in my mind that all of them have financial conflicts of interest. And will any of them have to get rid of them? No, this is like the whole point. It is a grift on a massive scale. I mean, just like unimaginably grand scale grifting going on. In what universe is it sane or reasonable or even, okay for one person to make $25 billion overnight because of some invisible thing? And no, I'm not talking about mega church pastors. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if you know this, but since the election, Elon Musk's fortune has increased by $200 billion. How? So no, nobody's giving back any money. I'm much more concerned about Tulsi Gabbard's allegiances. I don't know how to describe to you what a dangerous hack she is. Russian media refer to Tulsi Gabbard as Putin's girlfriend. So, that's much more concerning. From Avak Sorry, Douglas. Question: Do you have his? Do you, that's sorry. That's not a question. I'm not sure what happened, but let me move on. Sorry, Avak. Your question got cut off. Okay, so from Chestnut. Question: I have friends that still say there's no difference between Biden and Donald, both bad. Do you think invading Canada will finally wake them up? No. Anybody who thinks that is listening to the wrong sources. So they're preconditioned to believe, actually, no, that's it. They think Donald's bad too. Both are bad. My guess is that those are either disaffected, left-wing dude bros who have not recovered from the fact that Bernie Sanders lost in the 2016 Democratic primary, or they're Republicans, lifelong Republicans who recognize that Donald is awful, but could not possibly bring themselves to accept the fact that Democrats can be good. I guess. I think, though, that even some of those people might draw the line at invading a NATO ally. But what do I know? Like, at this point, anything's possible. What worries me about the whole Canada, Greenland, Panama Canal thing is not that I actually think that Donald is going to send forces over there to invade and take them over. Instead, he's softening the ground among people willing to listen to him, that such behavior is okay. It's okay that Russia invaded Ukraine. It's okay to talk about that kind of expansionism and American imperialism, and it's not at all. So, not really sure what's going to help people wake up, but because human nature being what it is, I take absolutely no pleasure in saying this, but for some people, some not insignificant number of people, it will be suffering more. I would have thought COVID would have been enough, but clearly I did not understand the depth of what people were willing to put up with in order to feel like they were special. All right, from KDB DPK, Mary, do you think Donald is allowing Bannon to take out Elon, do the dirty work, pretending to be neutral? It's not clear to me yet. I don't think Steve Bannon has the power base to take out Elon Musk. And Donald needs Elon Musk more than he needs Steve Bannon. And there are also enough people in Donald's inner circle who are more, not ideologically, wrong word, but like characterologically aligned with Steve Bannon, in terms of their nativism, etc. But if Donald tells them Elon's the guy, they're okay. Elon's the guy. And I don't know that Steve Bannon has ever been neutral about anything. From Barbara, question: how much did Donald's fear of a small crowd size play into his decision to move the inauguration doors? Yep, asked, answered, and a lot. I seriously hope somebody out there who maybe has too much time on their hands is doing research into like how many hotel rooms were available and whether or not restaurants were booked, because a friend of mine back in, I guess, September was planning to go to Kamala Harris's inauguration, and that just hurt my heart to say out loud. And hotels were completely booked already. So I'm guessing that changed after November 5th. From Henk von Democrat, sorry, Hank. I'll call you Hank. Question. Isn't your uncle in prison? This is unreal. Uh-huh. It is indeed. Not just unreal, it's surreal. I literally cannot look, I can't fathom it. I'm an American and I've been watching this happening. We've all been watching this happening for the last 9 years. You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of deterioration in our system since Ronald Reagan, right? But which, who clearly paved the way for Donald Trump. But the deterioration of the last, just the steep, quick slide in the last 9 years is breathtaking. Breathtaking. So I cannot imagine what people in other countries think about what's happening right now. Yeah. So yeah, Donald should be in prison. He never will be. We just need to get that out of the way. Let it go. The one thing to hope for is that we get the House back and potentially the Senate back in 2 years, and then in the meantime, do everything we can just to throw a wrench in the gears. From Brent, question. What do you think Donald's IQ actually is? Some people say it's 70, others say it's 165. But realistically, I would say it's around 110, 125, considering your grandfather's genetics. Yeah, genetics, IQ is very malleable, and genetics can only take you so far. I think that, listen, it's very difficult to know. Assessing IQ is a fairly lengthy process, and it gets measured across approximately 8 to 10 different dimensions of intelligence. It's not any one thing. It's a very complex concept, and I haven't done psychological testing in a really long time, but I'm wondering if they've added an emotional intelligence component, because that alone would bring his IQ way down. But when you look at sort of an overarching principle of intelligence, besides the dimensions like spatial reasoning and verbal fluency and stuff like that, you have to look at things like intellectual curiosity. I have never met anybody in my life who has zero intellectual curiosity. If you have zero intellectual curiosity, how smart could you actually be? So I think Donald tricks some people into thinking he's intelligent because he blusters his way through things. He's constantly talking about how smart he is, which is, by the way, an indication that he doesn't actually think he's smart. Or isn't actually smart, because smart people don't brag about how smart they are. But I'd also say that he literally, not literally, that's overstating it, but he doesn't really know very much. So I think that he has skills that make him seem smarter than he is. He's very media savvy, obviously. He has this kind of charisma, but I'd say that he probably has an average IQ. And I think I'm being generous. From Coco Loco, the People's March was well attended in DC. Kudos to the organizers. How can we grow this movement? Need effective messaging, lots more people, more of us than there are of them. Yeah, the People's March may have been well attended, but it was not well covered, and that's part of the problem. Well, we grow the movement by again expanding the reach of independent media outlets, getting on the same page when it comes to messaging. Like Republicans have incredible message discipline, and the Democrats don't, and we need to figure that out for sure. And one of the reasons we need to do that is because I think for a lot of people, especially since the election, it does not at all feel like there are more of us than there are of them. So we have to disabuse people of that notion, and I think we do that by continuing to show up and do the work. Okay, from Candace, question: how long do you think anyone will be able to stand working with him? Won't they bail when he goes full bore? I don't know. I mean, a lot of these people have been around him a lot already. He's bringing a lot of people back from the first administration. I think he's been going full bore since the election because the Democrats again and President Biden left the vacuum, which is kind of leaves me speechless. So I know and also like there's just these are not good people. They're in it for their own personal gain and their own personal power, and they'll just write it out. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine in light of the news that Snoop Dogg, I don't know what he did. He performed at some inauguration event, or he was at some, I don't know. And there was an enormous amount of backlash on social media about this because, in 2016, Snoop Dogg was basically saying that anybody who would support Donald Trump or go to his inauguration was dirt. It's just like a horrible human being, not worthy of being on the planet. He was very, very critical. And now here he is 8 years later. And it's most likely because apparently he's heavily invested in the tech industry. And I guess he wants to continue to make lots of money. He said worth something like 160, $200 million. And that really, you need more. You need more. So you're going to sell whatever principles you allegedly have. Okay. And we just sort of did a thought experiment. It's like if somebody gave you $10 million to go to Donald's inauguration, would you? And the answer is no. There's literally no amount of money. Well, all right, let's not get carried away. There probably is. But, it's very difficult for me to think of any circumstance in terms of like personal gain and, getting paid that would make me support him, even pretend to support him. But that is one of the problems of our time. The drive for acquisitiveness, to acquire vast sums of wealth at the expense of everything else. It should be a diagnosable psychiatric disorder to have so much and still need more. To sacrifice all of your principles to get more. But instead, what we do in our society, our entire society is built around the acquisition of wealth. And we turn people like Elon Musk into heroes because they're rich, so, or we admire people or give people the benefit of the doubt or want to give them more power because they're rich. Like imagine if Donald were, just a working class guy. Can you imagine? Anyway. Interesting times in which we live. From Rebecca, question, actually a comment. Love the art behind you. Me too. I can take absolutely no responsibility for it, however. Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool. I love all things desert art, desert landscaping. Yeah. From Haya, questioned who is PBS trying to merge with? I misspoke. I don't know. Well, either I misspoke or I just didn't say it clearly enough. It's CBS, not PBS. PBS would never. Well, I shouldn't say that. Hopefully, PBS would never. Who is CBS trying to merge with? I should know the answer to that question. So I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can find it out. Because CBS is owned by Paramount, I think, or CBS and Paramount are trying to merge. I think that's it, but I'll fact check that when I have a chance. Sorry. Wow. Speaking of the desert, very dehydrating. Sorry. From mom to huskies, or mom to huskies. Who do you think Donald will throw under the bus first? You know, whoever displeases him, or whoever doesn't show him enough loyalty. I don't know. It could be anybody, and this is the thing, that the fact that these people haven't figured that out yet, like they think they're special. You know, it reminds me of people who smoke cigarettes because they think that they won't get cancer. You know, it's really weird. He has a decades-long history of throwing people under the bus, no matter how loyal they've been. And here we are. Probably, I'm still thinking it won't be Musk, because Musk has way too much money and way too much power. From Blue Lady, question: do you think President Biden is in danger at the inauguration, i.e., taken into custody? No, no. The danger posed by President Biden's going to the inauguration is that by doing so, he and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, and I don't know if Bush is going, they are normalizing the incoming administration. They are essentially giving their okay. They are saying, oh, well, so they're fascists. What are you going to do? They won the election and we just have to play nice. That is a horrible, horrible, horrible message. And I am deeply upset. I think not one Democratic official, elected or otherwise, should be at that inauguration tomorrow. And if any of them who goes, shame on you. Seriously, shame on you. That's what I think. That's the danger. And also, like, in terms of I mean, I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, but the utility in saying that he was going to go after Biden and Hillary Clinton and stuff like that was red meat for the base during the election. Just like promising to bring down grocery prices and now saying, well, that's complicated. Can't do that. I'm too busy making $25 billion selling non-fungible tokens or whatever the hell he's doing. From Lily, does baldness run in the family? Has Orange always used makeup? I do not know if Donald has always used makeup. As for, okay, my grandfather had a receding hairline, but he had like the same amount of hair since the time he was a teenager. He just had like a receding hairline, but other than that, he had hair. So no, I mean, well, sadly, my father didn't live long enough to become bald, but he had a good head of hair. No, just Donald. What a shame. But he's really okay about it. He's Yeah, he's not self-conscious about it at all, so good for him. From Katie, are you ashamed to be related to him? No, not my fault. I do not take it personally. I mean, well, let me rephrase that. I take a lot of what he does personally, but I don't take my relationship to him personally. Like I don't what he does doesn't redound upon me. So not ashamed for sure. But it definitely affects me personally that he is who he is and does what he does and have the power he has. So um yeah. Um from Noel. Question. You said you were thinking about getting a kitten. Did you get your new fur baby and what name have you chosen? Well, I have not yet. I think it's kitten season in a couple of months, and I'm going to be doing a fair bit of traveling. So I want to wait until I'm home for a bit, and then sorry, there's a gnat or something. Um, and then and then get the new little one. Because I have to be home for a bit and get the other cats acclimated and but thank you for asking. Obviously, I will keep you all posted because this kitten is going to be portable. She'll be coming with me everywhere. From Brent, and thank you so much, Brent. That's very kind of you. Just a quick aside. We so appreciate all of you who donate, all of our super stickers. Extraordinarily helpful. Question: what was your grandmother's cause of death at 88? Yeah, I'm not really sure. Why is that, you say? Well, because we were estranged. She died about a year after. Uh, just very quick summary. My grandfather died in I think 1988 or 1999, and I got disinherited. There was another lawsuit because that is literally the only way we know how to communicate. And we settled the lawsuit, which was not a good thing. And then that was it. Like there was no more contact with the family. I hadn't spoken to my grandmother. I think the last time I spoke to my grandmother was in June of 1998 or 1999, whenever it was, like, maybe 6 months after my grandfather died. And I was away when I found out she died, and I actually went to her funeral, but I stayed in the back so nobody would see me. And I do not know why she died. I also found it really sad that even when she was dying, like she did. I don't know. I thought there might have been some chance that she would get in touch with me, but she did not. Because those Trumps, they know how to be a family. Okay, Nancy, question. Aren't many of Donald's immediate family born to a woman who broke the law when she came to the U.S. on a student visa and worked, so aren't they eligible to be deported? Same with Musk. Well, whether they were eligible or not, obviously that's not going to happen. I have no idea uh, what Ivanka's immigration, not Ivanka, sorry, Ivana's immigration status was. No idea at all. Same thing with Melania. And yeah, it would be. We do know about Musk though, and it would be awesome if he got deported. But he bought his way in, and he's not going out anywhere anytime soon. From Mochabyte, what happened with your lawsuit against Donald for your inheritance that he stole? It was thrown out, so he got away with yet another crime. Yeah, that's a tough one. But it just shows you like how. Well, actually, that's all I'll say. But it really sucks. I'll say that too. From Val, question: do I have to pay to ask a question here? No, of course not. You have to pay for the second question. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, of course. You don't have to pay to ask a question. You don't have to pay to watch the videos. You don't have to pay to be in the chat. Not none of this is what am I trying to say? There's no paywall here. But some people do donate, which is extraordinarily generous of them and much appreciated, but it is not in any sense compulsory. So I'm glad you asked that because some people may not know. From Jesse, why is America not upholding the Constitution? Simple question. I do not know. Well, yeah, I do. I do know. It's because over the last 40 or 50 years, the right wing has made a concerted, unrelenting effort to turn the courts into ideological weapons. So they engineered a radical, illegitimate, corrupt supermajority that is unbound by precedent or the Constitution. That's why. And it's terrifying that more was not done to stop it. It's terrifying that more was not done to more was not done to inform the American people about what was going on. It's terrifying that more was not done to fight against it. It's going to take a long time and a lot of work that takes the kind of courage I'm afraid a lot of people in power don't have to fix this. That is why we are a waning democracy. From Christopher, thank you so much, Christopher. Very kind of you. Now that TikTok is back on after the ban, do you think the Trump administration, the oligarchs, will turn the platform into a form of state media? Yeah, I mean, you know, who? I think Donald said that. Hold on a sec. Donald said that in order for the ban to be lifted, a U.S. entity would have to own 50% of TikTok. Who do we think that's going to be? Right? I mean, Donald might buy TikTok, or Musk might buy TikTok, or Zuckerberg, or one of these other charlatans, and then what? You know, it'll become like Twitter. And, you know, I don't know enough, honestly, about the issues with TikTok. I understand there are problems, and I understand one of the biggest problems is that we don't regulate social media. I don't know why TikTok is any worse than Twitter or Facebook, which are horrific. So, from Susie, question: what is your favorite candy or sweet? Actually, I don't have a sweet tooth. So I practically never eat dessert. I don't eat candy. But let's see. If I were to, I love strawberry rhubarb pie, and I love either vanilla or butter pecan or pralines and cream Haagen-Dazs with chocolate syrup. I literally can't remember the last time I did that, though. I think it's been 10 years since I've had ice cream. I hope that doesn't disappoint people. My daughter, however, could live on chocolate. Okay, from Blue Lupin. Question: do you think Donald will serve his full 4-year term? Health reasons dethroned by Musk and JD. Other, I don't know. I hope not. I hope not, because it would make everything easier. You know, what kind of power is Musk? Not Musk. What is his name? Who is that guy who's going to be vice president of the United States? Vance has no power base at all. So I think the only reason he doesn't is obviously a health reason, or he becomes so he becomes a danger to the right wing project of like pushing through 2025 or whatever. And they decide that they're better off invoking the 25th Amendment or something. But it's hard for me to imagine that they will have the backing to do that because, as we've learned to our deep chagrin over the last 8 years, is that the people who follow Donald will follow him no matter what he does. Like, we watched his brains melt out of his ears during the election, and nobody cared. So, I honestly, again, unless there's some health reason they cannot cover up and that sort of incapacitates him, I can't think of anything that would make him step down beforehand. And there's no reason to think that he won't try to run again. Okay, from Lady Rorschach. Question. Continuing on that note, does anyone remember the 25th anniversary Sesame Street special where Pesci plays Donald's parody? Maybe we can arrange a watch party. I don't remember that. So wait, so Joe Pesci played Donald in a Sesame Street special? That sounds like it's a little precocious for a bunch of 4-year-olds, but okay. I'd watch that. From Susan, question. With all narcissistic and psycho cabinet members and Donald plus Musk, is there sort of folie à deux amongst them? In other words, put a bunch of whack jobs in charge equals group psychosis. Well, for those who don't know, like, a folie à deux is a sort of shared delusion. It's pretty rare, but it is a recognizable psychiatric disorder. It's basically, I don't know if you've ever read or seen the movie In Cold Blood. The You know what? Let me put this a different way before I go too far into the weeds. I think that Donald and Musk share certain delusional beliefs about who they are and what they deserve and what is owing to them. But I think for the most part, I'm sure there are true believers, but for the most part, the people, the enablers, the people in the inner circle, the people in the executive branch, they're opportunistic people who are essentially sociopaths, only interested in their own power, personal power, and personal fortunes, without any concern for any other human beings. So there is a lot of dysfunction, psychological and otherwise, and emotional. But I think clearly the most obvious, and I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a folie à deux, but Musk and Donald definitely share the same kind of profile in some ways. From Christina, question, was your grandmother loving toward her other children? We know she wasn't there for Donald. I mean, she was not demonstrative by any stretch. These were like physically unaffectionate people. And not when they were young, for sure. And like with her boys, my dad, Donald, and my uncle Robert, it was almost as if she wasn't even their mother. Like, it was not her place to raise the boys. It was a very weird gender split in my family. And again, when Mary and Elizabeth were young, I don't think there was a lot of support or the kind of good enough parenting that D.W. Winnicott talks about, for various reasons. But when they were adults, like Marianne and my grandmother were very close. I was very close with my grandmother, but that doesn't mean that she was loving towards her children when they were young in a way that mattered enough, which, trust me, it did not, because my grandparents had 5 children, and every single one of them was a destroyed human being. And the younger generation's not doing so great either, which is to say my generation. From Aaron, question: do you think Donald will last until 2028? Do you think there will be chaos on Tuesday in Chicago? Again, I just answered the question about his potential longevity, if it's going to last. If I had to say one way or the other, I'd say it's it's less likely than not. And obviously, we hope that for whatever reason he can't complete the term. And as for Tuesday, for those of you who don't know, they're allegedly going to start the anti-immigrant crackdowns in a sanctuary city in a blue state. I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on how sweeping they are. I have to hope that Governor Pritzker, who's a really good governor, and I apologize, I don't know who the mayor of Chicago is, but that they're prepared for this and they will take countermeasures. According to Mercedes, we've got 200 ICE agents being deployed, but also the mayor of Chicago is Brandon Johnson. Mercedes is my person on the inside for all things Illinois. So Donald's people are threatening to arrest the mayor, I guess, if he doesn't hand over all of the undocumented workers. And I mean, 200 ICE agents, but plus what, I don't know. So I have to believe that they're prepared. And let's put it this way. We don't know how it's going to unfold, of course. But the fact that we're even having this discussion is a travesty. But we will obviously be keeping our eye on that. From M, question: how can he reinstate TikTok after SCOTUS upheld the ban? Isn't SCOTUS the final word? First of all, the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court ignores the Constitution. Secondly, in ignoring the Constitution, they essentially gave Donald unlimited power. How did they do this? By deciding that he has what they call presidential immunity for official acts. Well, he's going to be president tomorrow, so anything he does is an official act. The Supreme Court essentially rendered themselves completely useless. So if they can ignore the Constitution, he can ignore them. Well done. Well done, corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court. From Kitty Witty, question: Mary, what will you be doing during the inauguration? I will be celebrating Martin Luther King Day and not paying any attention at all to the inauguration. However, that having been said, I mean, obviously, I will be keeping myself informed about what's going on. But, I don't want to put any eyeballs on it in real time, and I recommend that none of you does either. We will, however, have live reactions in the immediate aftermath from the nerds, and potentially we'll keep you posted. And I will I'll be making a video about it for all of you, so you don't have to watch it, but we'll still know what went on, because also there's a possibility that Pete Hegseth confirmation vote will be tomorrow, and we'll be learning a lot about what Donald's first executive orders are. So there will be a lot going on that just is beyond the inauguration itself. And then I will, at 6 p.m. Eastern, have my Mary Trump live show, which, by the way, is every night this week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern is Mary Trump live. So we'll have a lot going on. We'll have a lot of coverage, but no, I'm not watching it in real time because I just, that would be cruel to myself. I'm trying not to be cruel to myself. Okay, just a couple of quick things. The Donald has given the ban a temporary lift. The ban was, I think, for 90 days. So it's still in effect, but Donald just put an extension on the time before it goes into effect. I figured, yes, CBS is Paramount is the parent company of CBS. The merger is with a media entity called Skydance, which I've never heard of before. But that merger, again, will not happen unless CBS or Paramount kisses Donald's ass and, just stops being an actual company that has anything to do with journalism. Well done. Well done, CBS. Wow, that went fast. Okay, guys, that is it for tonight. Just really quickly, I just want to thank Brant and Rosanna and Lorianne and the Yellow Flash and Christopher and Honeybee and everybody. Oh, there we go. It's Jakey Boy, Violet's drummer, and everybody else, including Kelly and Margaret and Shauna and Charisse and Elise and Jaina and Tiger Claw and Fletcher and all of our super stickers and people who donate. I would be remiss before we go in saying that we all should be deeply, deeply grateful. 3 Israeli hostages were returned to their families today. Let's hope everybody else, every other hostage, gets home as soon as humanly possible. So thank you for joining me for this evening's edition of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. Thank you to moderators. Thank you to Mercedes. Tomorrow's going to be a tough day for a lot of us, so please take care of yourself. Plan something to just kind of, during the inauguration, plan something to kind of take your mind off of it, and do something kind for yourself or for somebody else. And then tune back in later in the day, and we will inform you about everything that has been going on. All right, thanks again. See you tomorrow. Please stay safe and be kind.